Welcome back, everybody. I hope you all feel refreshed and recharged for our afternoon sessions. Everybody's a little more awake, I'm sure. A little fresh air always helps. Our next speaker is Jennifer Wiegart. She will be presenting on how to be a great communication partner at home and at school. Jennifer is a registered speech-language pathologist with over 25 years experience working in the public school setting. She has a private practice, Chickadee AAC, and is employed part-time with Surrey School District on the AAC team. Along with Karina Duffett, Jennifer wrote and co-teaches the AAC curriculum for Steinberg College's Educational Assistant Program. She is passionate about supporting her clients and their families in their AAC journey and in providing training to all team members. And with that, I will pass the mic.
Okay, hi everyone. Let's make sure I'm on track. Okay, here we go. Yay, my name is Jennifer Wiegart, and as Christina said, I'm a registered SLP, and I work part-time in Surrey School District as part of the AAC SLP team. So my role there, I have the experience of working in a school with an insane size of caseload, trying to support all my complex communicators, trying to get all of the teams on board with the EAs supporting it in the classrooms and it being pulled out of the backpack or the closet and being used regularly. And then I also do private practice. So I also have the opportunity to support families. And I can see a lot of anxiety and frustration that some families have sending their non-speaking child to school and having an AAC system and having it being implemented consistently at school and advocating for their child to have access to education and literacy and all of the things that they are capable of doing and that they deserve. So no matter what setting we're in, whether it's a home setting or the school setting, the AAC user's progress is impacted by one important factor, and that is communication partner skills. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. And whether it's at home or school, these are going to apply across the board. Okay? So what is the plan for today? I want to know who's here today, so we'll go through that. I'm going to talk about who is a communication partner. I know, Tammy, you went over this in more detail. Speak my language. How does AAC language develop? Modeling. Why do we have to model? Why is it necessary? What's the purpose of it? Connection is key. What your AAC user wants you to know. Increasing communication with school teams, which is a big part of advocating for your child and getting your team on board and having that device used every day in the school setting. And patience and persistence, which we all need when it comes to AAC. So, raise your hand if you're a parent or guardian of a non-speaking child. Lots of parents here. Good. SLPs? Okay. Any EAs here? No EAs. Educators or teachers? Yay! Awesome. Any administrators here? No? Any OTs or PTs? Okay. So, who is a communication partner? So, anyone that communicates with the AAC user is the communication partner. So, of course, that's you. You all are communication partners. And as Tammy said, it can be the peers of the child, the educational assistants, the teachers, siblings, therapists, and grandparents, and as Tammy said, the custodians, and so forth, right? It could be their job placements, their community centers, anywhere that they're going and interacting with people. They are all communication partners. Some of them are going to have a really good knowledge of AAC and how to implement it. They've had training. There's others that will have no idea what to do, okay? So part of our role as team members and as parents is to try to advocate and help everyone that's involved with your child learn how to use these, which is hard. It's a challenge. So ABC user, and Karina, you went over this morning, is much more than the words, the images, and the symbols on the device, right? It's more than just their favorite food items, activities that they enjoy, a choice board, a schedule. It's much more than that. It's a language system. Okay, so Karina mentioned as well that there's different types of languages. So there's verbal speech, there's sign language, and there's robust eye-gaze vocabulary. All of these are language systems. If I can speak verbal speech, that doesn't mean that I know sign language. Okay, they're all separate languages. So once a non-speaking individual has access to their AEC language system, they should be able to communicate, right? So access is one thing. No, they can be handed a device. They're not going to have a clue how to use it. And that's the thing in the schools. So many of the EAs are given a device for their student, and they're given instruction on how to use it. They go to training, and then you come in to check a month later, and the device is nowhere to be found, and they say, well, this doesn't work, it's not working, he doesn't get it, or she doesn't get it. Okay, it's been a month in that journey, okay? So our job is to teach them, how does it develop? How does their communication skills develop with this device? It's going to take a lot longer than 1 month, okay? They're learning the access method. They're learning how to use eye-gaze, as well as learning the language, as well as dealing with complex bodies. So all of these things are going on. They're not going to start communicating with their device in 1 month. It's not going to happen, but they think that. It's very, very common. So if it were that quick and easy, someone would hand me a big dictionary of French words and expect me to know how to speak it, they'd be really disappointed if I was not speaking French in a month. It's not going to happen, okay? So how do we expect our non-speaking individuals to learn how to communicate in their language, which is AEC? That's the language that we're teaching them. So think about the contents of that device as a language, okay? If no one else around them is speaking that language. So if you are French and you go into a classroom of German-speaking individuals, nobody else is speaking your language. You have no models to hear. You have no students to hear or no teachers to hear you speaking in the language that you're trying to learn. So it's going to be really, really hard for them. So as good communication partners to our AEC users, our job is to speak their language. That's how they're going to learn it. We need to speak to them in AEC, in the language that they're using. Whatever system they have, whether it's a low-tech eye-gaze board, whether it's a pod book, whether it's a high-tech eye-gaze system, we need to know how to speak that language. So a lot of it is on us to learn that language too. And we're often learning alongside with them. I am. I don't know those languages very well. So every time I have a student like that, I'm learning along with them. And it can be very overwhelming. And if it's overwhelming for us as adults who are verbal and speaking already, imagine how it is for our AEC users who are non-speaking and haven't developed a complex language system yet. Very complicated. So, their AEC language development is similar to how speaking children develop language, right? So, as we develop language, our understanding of words is the first to emerge, and that's our receptive language. So, as we're learning a new language, if I'm learning French, and I go to Quebec or Montreal and I'm learning how to speak French by listening to everyone around me, I'm going to understand it, but I might not necessarily be able to speak it. So I'm getting input, I'm listening, I'm gaining some understanding of some words maybe, some important words that are important to me, okay? But I'm not necessarily going to start speaking it right away. So the first thing that we're doing is we are learning the language. And the thing about learning receptive language is it's really hard to measure, right? So your AAC user can be learning receptive language, but you can't see that. They're not giving you any output. And so that's where we have a lot of the EAs say, well, they don't know how to use it. I'm modeling all day, and they're not doing anything. That's good that you're modeling all day. It's okay that they're not using it yet. Don't give up. You have to keep modeling, because they are learning. They're learning receptive language. It's good. You have to keep modeling. It's just hard to see that progress at the beginning, but it's working. Okay, as our understanding continues to develop, then our output starts to increase, right? We begin to use those words in that new language to communicate. And that's what we call expressive language. So you can see how long it's going to take before we actually get output from our AAC user. It's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take a while for them to learn. And so we need to keep reminding team members of this journey. We need to remind them that if they're modeling and they're getting frustrated, that they can look for small signs of progress. Is the AAC user looking at the device more? Are they exploring more of the buttons and trying to figure out what's on their device more frequently? That's progress. So we're not just looking at output as progress. Okay? Modeling. So what is modeling? This is our main form of teaching the AAC user how to communicate in their language. Modeling is basically us speaking their language for them. Us modeling their language. So we are speaking verbally in complete sentences like we would normally speak, while we are touching keywords on their screen or on their low-tech device or on their pod book. So we're speaking and we're touching keywords as we speak. Okay? That's modeling language on their system. So this strategy is referred to as modeling. So I'm going to be talking a lot about this throughout the day, and lots of key points about this, because this is the main key. So with our IDs users, before we begin modeling for them, it's helpful for the AAC user to understand access methods, right? Because the AAC user knows that their device is specifically programmed and calibrated for their eyes. So they are going to be activating whatever sort of device, low-tech or high-tech, with their eyes. That's how they're going to be indicating their words to us. But all of our eyes are different, and we aren't calibrated for those devices. So when we model the language for them, we're going to be using our finger. So we need to make that clear for them, that they're using their eyes, we're using our finger, okay? So that they understand that at the beginning. Okay, so this is an example of modeling during play. I'm using touch chat. It's not an ID system, but the principles of using the language while I'm playing are the same. Okay?
Check out all the opportunities I have to model language on my child's AAC with the Zen fountain. We added a little bit of water and some fancy glass beads, a few toy penguins, and we were ready to go. Check it out and see what we get. Turn it on. Okay, are you ready? A shower. Jump in the water. He likes water. Under the water. Now he's swimming. I think he's swimming in the water. Swim. Cold water. Oh, it's cold water.
that interaction, that little 30-second clip, took place over the entire hour-long session. So we played with that for the entire hour, and I just took different clips from that hour-long and put them together so that you can see the different things that I was modeling. So you can see during that short clip, I was modeling a lot of different variety of language functions and word types, right? I was using adjectives, verbs, I was making comments. I spoke in complete sentences, but I was only pressing a word or two. So I say, oh, it feels cold, or I think he's swimming, I'll press swim. So I'm speaking in complete sentences, I'm highlighting keywords, okay? I didn't mention penguin once, I don't think. And I don't think I mentioned water. Did I? I don't know. But a lot of action words, right?
Shower.
Swim, yeah, shower, in, out, down, wet, cold, okay? Lots of descriptive language. I commented and narrated more than I questioned. I wasn't saying, oh, what's this? Oh, what color is this stone, right? I was just talking about play, talking about what we were doing, what we were feeling, what we were interacting with. And I did not expect my AEC user to give me specific responses, right? There was pauses there. You didn't see them because I cut them all out. But I would pause and wait and see what he would press. And a lot of times when I paused, he would imitate and press some of the buttons that I had modeled. And he imitated my models, which was amazing. Okay. So why is modeling necessary? When we speak to an AAC user while modeling language on their device, we are teaching them that their words have meaning. That all of these buttons in front of them, they have meaning. And so if at the beginning, if your child is randomly activating buttons or looking at things, symbols on their device or on their low-tech system, whenever they activate something, we're going to comment on it to show them that it has meaning. So if somebody commented fast on their device, the communication partner might say, rabbits run fast. Sadie runs fast in the backyard. So now they're hearing that that word that they just pressed has meaning, and they're relating it to something they know, right? Their dog in the backyard. If they press morning randomly, maybe it was randomly, maybe it wasn't. Most times it's not random, but we'll talk about that later. We ate breakfast this morning, yummy waffles, it was so good. Okay, so I'm acknowledging every time not every single time, but frequently when they're activating buttons, I'm making comments on what they're activating. Showing them that, okay, I'm responding to you. You're using this as a tool to communicate, and I'm responding to you every time. And showing you that these words have meaning. And you have a tool right there that you can use to get my attention and to tell me things. Okay? So when we speak to an AAC user while modeling on their device, we're also modeling language in the context of daily activity and meaningful activities. I'm not sitting down with them and drilling them and saying, touch dog, touch cat, touch blue. All of this is happening within play-based activities. It could be while we're reading a book, while we're watching TV, whatever it is, we're doing it within their daily activity. So I'll often see in schools, they'll have on the schedule, they'll put like AAC time. And that's not an activity on a schedule, right? We talk all day about what we do. AAC happens all day. Communication happens all day. It's not an activity that we pull out for 20 minutes to work on, okay? And I tell them, you don't need anything. You don't need any materials. You just talk. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about how you're feeling. Talk about what your plans are. You don't have to have any specific materials. Just talk. Just communicate. Okay? It happens all day. Narrate what you're doing. Narrate what you see. Okay? When we speak, to an AAC user using their language. We're showing all of the different words and word classes that are available. And this happens too when they're exploring their devices. We want them to randomly press buttons or look and activate buttons the whole time, over and over and over and over and over again. Even though it drives our teachers crazy, we love that because they are learning what's in their system. They're learning what words are there. And when they keep randomly going back to a certain word and saying it over and over again, there's a reason. And I'll tell you a funny story about a client of mine going back and pressing on his device, Connecticut. So over and over again, he would press Connecticut, 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 and he'd make it repeat Connecticut, Connecticut. And I thought, okay, like, are you going to Connecticut? Like, did you hear about Connecticut somewhere? Do you like the way that that word sounds? I'm trying to figure out what it is about Connecticut that was appealing to him. So I brought in map activities, and we worked on maps and different things like that. And a year and a half later, we figured out what it was. What do you think he was trying to say with Connecticut? So that week he went for a haircut. When I came in to see him that week, Mom told me he got a haircut. He went to Connecticut. Oh. It was a haircut. That was the closest thing, I guess, that he could find or that sounded like haircut. And so that whole year and a half, I didn't know what that meant. It took that long for us to find what Connecticut was. But it wasn't a random button hit. And you'll hear so many times that this staff will say, well, he's just hitting random buttons, or she doesn't really understand anything. I don't know why she keeps hitting this button, just saying this word over and over. Investigate, talk to the family, talk about what they might be linking it to. Because with my clients at home, if I can talk to the family, we'll often figure out what it is. And it might be that they heard part of a conversation that the parents were saying. And the parents are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they heard that? And yeah, they did. And they're trying to comment on that. They're trying to engage in that conversation. Okay? So all the type of words we have in a robust vocabulary, they're going to be looking at WH questions, pronouns, verbs, adjectives. All those different words are available to them. Okay, another reason is that we model because we want to show them all the different reasons that we communicate. We are not just communicating to ask for food or our favorite song or toy. We communicate for a lot more than that, right? So we might be protesting. Stop! I don't like that. Go away. Stop bugging me. Get. I want to get something. Commenting. Best. Awesome. Cold. Yucky. They might want to share information. When they have an opportunity to share experiences, that is so powerful. And that's something that I use a lot in my sessions, is ways for them to talk about things that they've done. Because that's how we connect with one another, and I'm going to go into that as we go here. So, when we're modeling on their device, we're also demonstrating all of the navigational pathways to get to the words that they want to communicate, right? Because some of those words are really buried deep in there. And a lot of times my students are going to show me how to find it. Wait, do that again. How did you find that word? I didn't even know that word was in there. So they're showing us how to find these words. We're showing them how to navigate through their system to get to the words that they need to say. Because at the beginning, they're not going to know, and that's okay. And we don't need to move all of those words that they really like to the home page. No, 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 no. We're not moving all those words to the home page. Because if their favorite word is Peppa Pig now, it's not going to be Peppa Pig in 10 years. And we're going to have to rearrange the whole home page again. So we instead model how to get to that word. Or we get to that level of that page and then we have it open for them. We get them to that level and navigate for them. It's okay that they can't find it by themselves at the beginning. And there's this thought with teams that they often want to move all those important words to the front page so they can access them right away. But that's not teaching them navigation or how to find words in their device, right? So when we want to request ice cream, we have to say want. And then as I touch the navigation buttons, I speak the navigation buttons so that they know what I'm doing. So I'll say want, I'm going to go extra word or all word lists. I'm going to go to food and drink because it's something that I want to eat. And here it is, ice cream. How did I do that again? Okay, I went want, word list, food and drink, and pause. And see if they'll activate it. Okay? So I'm modeling for them how to get to that word without the expectation that they do it themselves. Okay, so here's a modeling activity. It's topic-based. So say they like bubbles. If you're just beginning to model and you're still not familiar with the vocab, and it takes me a long time to become familiar with the vocab, this is a new one to me, so I had to figure out where these words were. I have to go to topics, bubbles, and then I get to this page, which is a topic-based page. And if you can't see, because I know it's a bit small, some of the buttons say do bubbles, where bubbles, where is wand, open it, want to pop, who will blow, pop it, give me bubble wand, get bubbles, play bubbles, blow small ones, just like that. I popped it. So now, while you're playing bubbles, you have all of these words related to your play, and you're not having to navigate out of that page. You can stay there and just navigate on that page. You might want to pick one or two buttons that you're going to model over and over again. You don't need to model all of those buttons at the beginning. Pick one. Let's say we're going to work on pop it, and I did it. So every time we pop a bubble, we're going to say, I did it. And I'm going to blow more, and I'm going to say, pop it. Pop the bubble. Oh, you did it. I'm going to say, I did it. I popped it. So even though there's a ton of buttons, you don't have to use them all. Just use whatever you're comfortable with. Okay? So all the words are on the single page. You don't have to worry about navigation. Play as you usually do. Use your verbal speech, speaking in complete sentences, and then hit however many buttons you feel comfortable with. You can make it as complex or as simple as you're comfortable with. Okay, I don't know do any of you follow this lady? I just found her on YouTube. She's awesome. She has a daughter with Rett syndrome. I don't know her name, but her YouTube channel is Vocal Eyes, like vocal and then eyes, AAC, which I thought was cute. Vocalize, isn't that good? Vocalize AAC on YouTube. She's got really cool demonstration videos for eye gaze boards, for scanning, for all sorts of things. Really awesome videos. She's a parent of a child. So I just took a little clip from one of her videos here, but check her out on YouTube. She's great. So her daughter is using Tobii Dynavox, an eye gaze device, yes, no board, best yes, partner assisted scanning, eye pointing, and more. That's her communication in toolbox. She has a lot of different ways that she's communicating. And great videos on this channel, so I'll just show you.
So, for example, Opposites by Sandra Boynton. Very fun book. But I can go in here to my Describe page, and I can just sit here as I'm reading this book, and I can model these words. And I will model for you now. Okay? So you can say big and small, short and tall, high and low. Look, the sheep is high, he's all the way up at the top of the page, and the sheep is down low, he's at the bottom of the page. The dog's going fast and slow. Heavy and light, day and night. When it's day, it is so bright outside, and when it's night, it's dark. So that's another example. Books are a fabulous resource.
Okay. And so did you notice that even though she was modeling words like, I think it was high and low, were not on the page that were in front of her, so she used top and bottom. So she's still modeling language, but she's she's adjusting her language to fit with what's available on the device. So you're still teaching those concepts, but you're using the words that they have available to them. You don't have to navigate every single word that's on that page in front of you. Change it to what fits the language in their system, because that's what they have available to them. You don't have to do it exactly as it says in the book. Go rogue. Okay, during routines. This is a little guy, Liam, who started using touch chat and a low-tech core board. He also uses gestures. And this is how I was helping support Mom in modeling language for him during a daily routine of getting snacks, which he does all day. Okay? So cute. She wasn't telling him to touch any words. She was just talking and modeling the language and pausing, and then he was producing that language for her. Okay, so when we are teaching language, the most important thing that we can do is connect to our AAC users, okay? When we use it as a tool to connect rather than to teach, your communication exchange will be authentic, right? It's authentic communication. We're communicating, we're connecting, we're socializing. It's not a drill, it's not asking me, you know, touch this, touch this, touch this. It's not a rote routine. We're actually connecting and socializing and having a communicative exchange. So when we teach, we typically ask a lot of questions and we expect responses from our students. Nobody likes to be quizzed. I don't want to be quizzed all day. Okay? And it adds pressure to communicate. And as soon as that pressure increases, you have them freeze. Okay, I can't initiate the movement now because I've got the pressure, there's a response expected, I'm anxious now, and I know I'm supposed to respond, but I can't move my eyes, I can't move my body, I'm just frozen. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. So as soon as we take off that pressure to communicate, it becomes a lot more natural and it flows a lot better. Okay, so we need to take away that pressure. So how do we create a safe and motivating environment? We build a strong relationship with our AAC user, and that's going to lead to an internal motivation to communicate. Okay, they want to communicate with us because we have that connection. We want to have social exchanges with people we connect with, right? So how many of you simply chat with your student or child using their device? Okay, just chat with them. Tell them what you're thinking. Tell them what you had for dinner last night. Tell them what's happening, what's the plan, what should we talk about? If you go to a social event and you meet new people, what do you talk about? Your family, your pets, cutest dog ever, that's Roman. But hobbies, vacations, I wish I could go on a vacation like that. Connecting through social language. So chat about what you did on the weekend. Right? What did you cook for dinner? What are you going to cook for dinner? What are your plans? Who came over last night? What did you watch on TV? That sort of thing. It doesn't have to be anything big. A lot of times, I will pull up pictures on my phone and I'll talk about things on my phone. And that's a great way to connect, is sharing pictures and talking about your own personal experiences, because that's how we connect with each other. Our main reason to communicate is to connect and tell stories and share experiences with one another. So that's what we need to do with our AAC users, and that's going to encourage them and motivate them to communicate in a natural way rather than freezing and becoming anxious. Okay, Tammy mentioned personalization. So in order for our AAC users to talk about what's important, we need to make sure those words are available to them. They want to talk about what's important to them in their life. Okay? This is a form that I'll often give my families, and I know it's hard to read. I'll just read out to you what it says. People and pets. So I want to know all the important people in their lives. Pets. Places that they go. Restaurants, pools, playgrounds, therapy sessions, grandparents, families, friends. Food. What is their favorite foods? Toys and games. Books and songs. Favorite music that they listen to. TV, movie, videos, their favorite YouTube videos, or characters, any special interests. I've built pages about shapes, every shape that you can think about. I'll show you a couple different personalized pages that I've created for some individuals. And then slang. And I gotta work on that more. I haven't been doing a ton of slang, but I have to start programming that more, because I know that kids would really respond to that, being able to use slang. Okay? So this is a form that I have families complete so that I am sure that all of their important words are there and available to them. And they're going to go to those words immediately. As I was at my client's house the other day and I added about 5 or 6 words for him, all in different places of his vocabulary. As soon as I finished, he went back and found every single one of them. He knew exactly where they were and what I put in there. And he wanted to say them right away. Because they were meaningful to him. That were things he wanted to talk about. Okay, so this is a high school boy. It started with the basketball page. So he watched basketball with his dad. And so they were watching the playoffs, the NBA playoffs. So we put every team in there. And then we had another page that had all phrases about, like, whatever basketball. You would think I played basketball because I'm like 6 feet tall, but I didn't. So basketball phrases, like 3-pointer, or, you know, foul, there you go. All those words and phrases. And so and then I made a giant board. You know what are those boards called where they have all the teams and they, there's a special name. Yeah, bracket. So I made him a bracket with removable things, so then he could say, he could talk about what team that was playing tonight and who won, and move them on the bracket. They were Velcroed, and it was an awesome thing for him and his dad to do together. So then when Euro came, we had to do that too, because now he's watching soccer, football. So he loved that. Characters, right? Peppa. You need all the Peppa characters. And there's another page. There's more Peppa characters, more than you could ever imagine. Peppa.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this was a guy who loved fans. So, so we might think, well, why does he need to talk about fans all day? Well, because they're interesting to him. He likes them, so why would you not put those words on there if he wants to talk about that? That's important to him. Okay, and then bring in lots of cool fans. So we need to reduce questioning, okay? So instead of asking a ton of questions of our AAC users, we're going to comment, okay? So instead of saying, what animal is that? And getting them to find it on their system and tell you and answer a question. You might say, I see farm animals, this one's a cow. Okay, I'm still labeling it. I'm modeling the word. I'm showing them how to get to farm animals and cow. What happened? So instead of saying what happened, you can say that bubble popped. Okay? They don't need to say pop, 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 pop. Okay, you can model that for them. Do you want more blocks? How about let's get more blocks? Okay? Welcome. So I'm going to give you phrases, and I want you to yell out if it's a phrase that is a teaching phrase or if it's a phrase that's connecting. Okay? So if I say touch the dog, am I teaching or connecting? Yeah, teaching. If I say what color is this? Yeah. If I say look at the brown dog, connecting. Okay. If I say how many blocks, teaching. I expect an answer from that. Let's count the blocks. It's right here. Connect, yeah. Sorry. Tell me what the boy is doing. Do you want to read a book? Let's choose one. Connecting. Okay. Good. Excellent. So what did you notice about all the teach sentences? What did you notice about those ones? Lots of questions, and there was a response expected, right? For all of those ones, they all required an immediate response or action from the AAC user. Put the pressure on them. Okay. What your AAC user wants to know. Okay, what time am I at? Make sure.
15 minutes.
It's okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker. Okay, so while speaking in complete sentences, you only want to touch 1 to 2 keywords at the beginning. Okay? You're not going to touch every single word you say while you speak it, right? I want to go to, like, they're gone. Too many words. They're not using that language expressively, so you don't model it. They're at the 1-word level, maybe 2 words at the beginning, so that's what you model. That's the level that they're at for output, and so you're giving them that input. You're still using complete sentences, okay? But just press 1 to 2. Accept all forms of communication: gestures, vocalizations, word approximations, facial expressions. If they've communicated something to you, do not make them say it again on their device. They just told you, and if you understood it, you don't make them say it again. If you want, you can say, oh, you just told me that you're finished. You threw it off the table. You're telling me you're finished. I understand. So I confirmed what I think that they were saying, but I didn't make them say it. Okay? But I showed them a different way that they can say it. That's a bit higher level than tossing. Talk about things I find interesting or useful as an AAC user. They want you to talk about things they find interesting. Don't talk about you all the time and model your agenda, okay? A lot of times you'll bring in a lesson, they don't want anything to do with that. So, okay, then let's talk about what you want to talk about. I think there's a song like that. Yeah, it's okay to be flexible and throw your agenda out the window. Model lots of different reasons to communicate. Okay, I showed you that in the water video. And we're not just using their device to give them directions like sit down, be quiet. I've seen them that programmed on devices on the front page, be quiet. I don't think that's what they're trying to say. I think you're trying to tell them that, but that's not something they want to say, right? It's their voice, not yours. Sometimes they might want to tell you to be quiet, but that's their voice, okay? So you're not putting directives like that on their system. layer language over what I'm doing or trying to communicate by narrating with my device. So you're looking at the door. I think you're trying to say that you want to go. And then I love Tammy, you're confirmed. Like, is that what you're telling me? You can tell me yes or no. Are you saying that you want to go? And get the confirmation. Rather than drilling, right? So you're just talking about what's going on around you. Layer the language on top of their actions, what they're looking at, what they're doing, what you're doing, what's happening in the book, what's happening in the video. Layer language over that. Because you're teaching that. You're teaching language. You don't need anything special, right? Follow my lead. If my interests shift with me. Don't be inflexible. Okay? Don't ignore or redirect back to your agenda. There are times when we do have to do our work. But you can always say, you know what, I know that you really like talking about fans. Let's talk about fans after we do 3 more questions. And that you're acknowledging